In 2023, as billions of folks were caught up in the latest fashion crazes, TikTok dances, and viral challenges, something quietly revolutionary was taking place. There were millions of people who simply didn't care. They stuck with the same jeans they had had for 5 years. They paid no mind to the algorithm. They listened to music that few others did. And here's the really surprising part. They reported feeling a lot happier than those who chased trends. Today we're diving into the psychology of those who don't follow the crowd. And I've got to warn you, what we uncover might really shift the way you think about conformity, success, and being true to yourself. Before we jump into the mindset of these rebels, let's first unpack why most of us have this tendency to follow trends. There's real neuroscience at play here. Our brains are wired for social prediction. For countless years, our ancestors survived by sticking with the group. If everyone in your tribe headed toward the river, you went too. No questions asked, no experiments. Deviating from the group could be deadly. Fast forward to today, and that ancient wiring hasn't changed much. When we spot others doing something, our mirror neurons light up. These are special neurons that activate whether we're doing an action ourselves or just watching someone else do it. They provide a built-in blueprint for imitation that's part of our DNA. It's why yawning can be contagious. It's also why you might feel out of place in a room full of people in black when you're wearing a bright yellow shirt. Now, here's the kicker. Trends aren't just about following, they reflect our identity. When you embrace a trend, you're not just mimicking behavior, you're joining a group. You're declaring, I belong here. And belonging is one of those deep-rooted human needs. Psychologist Abraham Maslow placed it right up there in his hierarchy of needs. After basic necessities like food and safety, we crave belonging. So when a new trend pops up, it's not merely about fashion or music or slang. It's an open invitation to be part of a community. Social media algorithms amplify that instinct. Platforms are designed to showcase what's popular, essentially quantifying belonging through likes, shares, and comments. So, that primal urge to belong, it now has a megaphone with a billion-watt speaker. No wonder so many people go along with trends. But who are the folks who resist? First off, trend resistors aren't all the same. There are various types, each with their own reasons for resisting. Let's break it down a bit. First up are the counterconformists. These are individuals who actively reject trends just because they are trends. If they see everyone veering left, they'll head right. Not necessarily because they believe the right is better, but simply because the left is the popular choice. Psychologically, these people experience high reactance, a term introduced by psychologist Jack Brown. Reactance is that feeling you get when you think your freedom is being threatened. When society says, everyone loves this, counterconformists feel their independence is at stake. So they push back. Next, we have the authenticity-driven individuals. They aren't rebelling for the sake of it. Their motivation stems from wanting to stay aligned with their own values. If a trend doesn't resonate with who they are, they won't adopt it. Someone passionate about philosophy might completely ignore TikTok trends because they don't fit their interests. They aren't trying to be edgy. They're simply being purposeful. Research indicates that these people score high on traits like openness and conscientiousness. They're introspective and know themselves well. The third group consists of the economically conscious. These individuals understand that trend cycles are designed to drain their wallets. They recognize the fast fashion industry creates false urgency. They grasp the business models behind viral marketing. So they choose to sit out, not out of stubbornness, but out of reasoned judgment. They decide to spend less, consume less, and think more critically. Finally, we have the neurodivergents and outliers, people whose brains just operate differently. Some who are on the autism spectrum or have ADHD find social trends confusing or taxing to keep up with. Others simply don't score high in the personality trait called agreeableness. They're not being difficult. Their brains don't sync with group behavior like most people's do. Despite their differences, these groups share a common experience. They feel less cognitive ease when it comes to conformity. Here's something that might surprise you. Resisting trends takes mental effort. Sticking with what you know in a world that's always pushing for change can be draining. So, why do they do it? The answer relates to something called cognitive dissonance. This is the discomfort you feel when your actions don't align with your beliefs. Most folks resolve this by changing their beliefs. If everyone is clamoring for the newest phone, they convince themselves that it's what they wanted all along. But trend resistors take a different approach. They sit with the dissonance. They can manage two conflicting thoughts. Everyone thinks I should follow this trend, and I don't want to. This capacity to tolerate dissonance connects to what psychologists refer to as an internal locus of control. This belief suggests that your outcomes stem from your own actions as opposed to external factors. People with a strong internal locus of control view themselves as the driving force in their lives. They feel that following a trend simply because others are doing it means giving up control, so they choose not to. But here's where it gets really deep. Research in social psychology indicates that those who resist trends, especially the authenticity-driven ones, report higher life satisfaction. They feel less anxious and have a stronger sense of identity. Why's that? It's because they're not caught up in what researchers call the hedonic treadmill. This is where chasing new things, following fresh trends, and seeking outside validation only brings fleeting happiness. Once you adopt a trend, its novelty fades. Then you're off looking for the next trend, and the cycle just continues, draining energy without lasting reward. In contrast, trend resistors find joy from within. Their identities don't hinge on the latest craze. They're steady and consistent. Their choices come from their own values rather than a thirst for approval from the outside. That intrinsic satisfaction is rewarding in ways that simply chasing trends often isn't. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Non-conformity comes with its own set of drawbacks, real psychological costs that shouldn't be overlooked. First, there's the issue of social friction. Humans are innately social beings. When you opt out of shared cultural experiences, it can create distance. You miss out on jokes and the conversation. Research shows that feeling culturally excluded can cause genuine pain, similar to what we feel with physical pain. Then there's the burden of constant micro-decisions. When everyone's on board with a trend, it's easy. You just go with the flow. Wear what everyone else is wearing. Listen to what others are listening to. But when you step aside, every decision becomes a conscious one. What do I wear? What do I watch? What do I enjoy? That decision fatigue can be real, and honestly, it's exhausting. Loneliness is another factor. Non-conformists often feel isolated, especially when they're younger. In high school or college, belonging to a group feels super important, and opting out of trends can lead to feeling left out. Research shows that teens who don't engage with social media or youth culture frequently report feeling isolated, sometimes even quite severely. And we can't forget the financial implications. Trends often take shape because they're made to be accessible. A trending piece of clothing usually comes at a low cost. A viral app is often free. Popular music is everywhere, so you don't have to pay to find it. But when you venture your own way, it can end up costing more. The niche headphone brand that isn't mainstream, the smaller creator whose work costs a bit more to discover, or the unconventional choices that lack economies of scale. So non-conformists aren't necessarily happier overall. What they are is distinct. Their satisfaction springs from different sources. What intrigues me the most is that we're in a time where there's immense pressure to follow trends, yet there's also an unprecedented capacity to resist them. It's a fascinating tension of our age. On one side, social media algorithms, influencer culture, and the rapid pace of information create an environment where trends spread faster and go deeper than ever before. A trend can transition from niche to mainstream in just days. The pressure to engage isn't just social anymore. It's built into the very frameworks we use. On the flip side, there are more examples than ever of people living outside trends successfully. From minimalists and digital detoxers to individuals constructing micro-communities around niche interests that would have been tough to find 2 decades back. The resources to resist are out there. You don't need anyone's permission to step back. What's taking shape is a split. Some are surrendering completely to trends, getting trapped in the relentless chase for likes and relevance. Others are radically opting out, building lives that exist almost entirely outside the trend cycle. And most of us, well, we're caught in the middle, trying to balance these two extremes every single day. Understanding the psychology of nonconformity is important. It highlights something crucial. You can't completely disengage from society, but you can choose how you interact with it. You can choose to engage selectively. Follow the trends that resonate with your values and step back from those that don't. That's not the same as blindly going along with the crowd or totally rejecting it. It's about wisdom and intention. And honestly, it's one of the toughest things to navigate in a world that makes everything automatic. So, where does that leave us? I don't think the solution is to become a trend resistor. For most, that's neither practical nor appealing. Trends exist for a reason. They help us find community, discover new things, and stay connected culturally. But the insights from studying non-conformity offer something valuable. They show us we have more control than we often realize. Every time you choose to embrace a trend, you're making a choice, even if it feels automatic. Once you recognize that it's a choice, you can approach it more consciously. Ask yourself, am I following this trend because it truly reflects who I am? Or is it because it's what everyone else is doing and I want to fit in? Either answer is perfectly valid. Sometimes it's great to belong, but if you lean toward the second answer, at least acknowledge it. Be honest with yourself about what's driving your choice. The healthiest individuals aren't strictly conformists or total rebels. They're the ones who've achieved what psychologists call integrated authenticity. They can glide between various spheres, engaging with trends when it suits them, and stepping back when it doesn't. They have that internal locus of control, but they're not so fixated on being independent that they can't enjoy a sense of community. That's the real takeaway here. It's not just about following or resisting trends. It's about being aware of your choices. It's about understanding that you're not just passively receiving culture, you're actively shaping it, one decision at a time. So, the next time a trend rolls around, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself what draws you in. Is it truly you? Or is it the algorithm? Is it your tribe or someone else's? Then, make your choice with intention. That awareness, that brief moment of thought, is where genuine psychological freedom lies.